Sham Sharadavam Nalalida Lokam Pranaya Karuna Vanaganatam Sham Sharadava Nalalida Lokam Praptasya Kalyana Gunana Vasya Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Praptasya Kalyana Gunana Vasya Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam 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 Mahaprabhu ki Tananita Gita Vaditra Madhyam Manasura Sena Romanchakam Pasru Taranga Vajo Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shringaratanama Niramajanado Shri Vigrahara Nana Juktasya Bhaktamsa Niyunjatopi Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Chaturvedha Shri Bhagavat Prasadu Satana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangha Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasadu Satana Triptan Kridvaiva Tripte Vajato Shadeva Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Vajata Shadeva Shiradikama Dhavayarapara Madhurya Lila Gunarupa Namna Shradikama Dhavayarapara Madhurya Lila Pratikshana Sa Dhanalalupasya Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Pratikshana Sa Dhanalalupasya Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Ne Kunjayuno Ratikeli Siddhai Jayali Viri Jukti apekshaniya nikunjayona pratike viside jayali viryukti tatrati daksha ativalavasya vande gurashi charanarvindam Sakshadhari Dena Shamasta Shashe Ruktastathava Vyataiva Sadhuvi Sakyadhari Dena Shamasta Shashe Ruktastathava Kintu Prabhaja Priya eva tasya Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada Yasya prasadam nagati kutapi Hey Yasya prasadam Yasya prasadam nagati kutapi Jayam stubam tasya yasatrin sandhyam Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Jayam stubam tasya yasatrin sandhyam Vande Gurashi Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Charanarvindam Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Nama O Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samenitina Mine Nama O Sinopadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatadisha Tarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Bol, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Jadavaya Namah Hare Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopina Madana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raguna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Bol Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Shri Radha Nila Madhava Radha Nila Madhava Radhe Jayo Jagana Jayo Baladev Jayo Subhadrama Jayo Sudarshan Chakra Jayo Sitaram Jayo Sitaram Sitaram Jayo Lakshman Hanuman Jayo Lakshmi Narasingha Jayo Lakshmi Narasingha Jayo Lakshmi Narasingha Jayo Prahlad Maharaj Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Olo Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Jai Gaura Premanande Haribo Jai Vishnu Paraparamsa Prabhajakacharya Sutra Shishima Bhagwan ke Sabhotra Vina Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Jai ISKCON Pratishta Bhiviti Samstapakachar Vaishnava Sramani Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Ji Maharaj ki Jai Shri Guru Guru Varga Patita Udhari ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatra Gunath Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Guna Sadguru Swami Prabhu ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ji ki Jai Nanta Kuru Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Prem se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai Param Dayal Se Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai Prema Nama Sankirtane Ka Janaka Prema Purushottama Shri Satchidananda Shima Gauranga Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Guru Hari Mavrana Avatar ki Jai Golokera Pramadhana Hari Nam Sankitan Jaga ki Jai Yoga Dharma Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki Jai Brihat Midanga Transcendental Book Distribution Seva ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopakutna Radha Kun Samakun Giriraj Govardhan ki Jai Shri Brajabim Vrindavan Mathurdham ki Jai The Lordship Shri Radha Nilamadhava ki Jai Shri Shri Mayapur Navadvip Eka Chakradham ki Jai Paramakarun Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai Shri Purushottama Kitra Jagannath Puri Dham ki Jai श्री श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी बलदेव प्रभु समस्त देवी सुदर्शन चक्र भगवान की जय। भक्ति सर्व विघ्न विनाशन कृष्ण हरे भगवान की जय। जगंगा माय जमुना माय की जय। तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री मथुरा रानी की जय। समवेत भक्तविंद की जय। निताय गौर हरि परमानंदे हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled bodies. All glories to the assembled bodies. All glories to the assembled bodies. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Prahlada Ladadayine.
Prahlada
Hiranyakashipurvakshaha.
Hiranyakashipu Vakshaha.
Shilantanka nakalaye.
Jaya Shilantanka nakalaye.
Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha.
Ito Nisimha Parato Nisimha.
Yato yato yamitato Narsimha.
Jata jata jamitato Nisimha.
Bahe Narsimha Hidaye Narsimha.
Bahe Nisimha Hridaye Nisimha.
Narasimha Madim Saranam Prapate.
Narasimha Madim Saranam Prapade.
Tava kara kamala vare nakam abhuta simha. Dalita hiranyakashipu tanubrenga. Keshavatirtha narahari rupa. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakam Abhuta Simha. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubrenga. Keshavatirtha Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Keshavatita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Keshavatita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jayo Narasimha De. 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 Jayo जय नरसिंह जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज
जय
प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
जय जय
प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौरा हरि बोल
नित्य गौरा
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौरा हरि बोल
जय श्री श्री भक्ति पथ सर्व विनाश न कनिष्ठे भगवान की जय भक्त श्रेष्ठ प्रहलाद महाराज की जय श्री वृंदाई तुलसी देवाई प्रिय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रादे देवी सतवताय नमो नमः वृंदाई तुलसी देवाई प्रिय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रादे देवी सतवताय नमो नमः वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रिय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रादे देवी सतवताय नमो नमः जय श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो अभिलाषी
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो अभिलाषी
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो अभिलाषी
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो
जय तुम्हारा शरण लो तारा वंशा पूर्ण हो
तुम्हारा शरण तारा वंश पूर्ण
कृपा कोरि करो थारे वृंदावन भासी
तुमि कृपा करे करो तरे वृंदावन वासी
मोराए
kunje yava
Nayane heribo sada Yugala ruparasi
Aminayane deva sada jugala ruparasi
Any vedhana dhara Sakiranu gatha khoro
Ene vedana dhara sakhirayano gatha
Seva adi kara diye koron jadasi
Sevayade karadiye karani jadasi
Seva adi kara diye koron jadasi
Sevayade karadiye karani jadasi
Dina Krishna dase khai e namora hoy
Dina Krishna dase kar eye namora
Shri Radha Govinda preme sadayena bhasi
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 Yani kani cha papani Brahma hatyari kani cha Tani tani pranakshanti Pradakshinam pare pare
Kani kani sapapani Brahma hatari kani sa Kani kani pranasanti Pradakshina pare pare
Yani kani cha papani Brahma hatyari kani cha Tani tani pranakshanti Pradakshinam pare pare
Kani kani sapapani Brahma hatari kani sa Kani kani pranasanti Pradakshina pare pare
Yani kani cha papani Brahma hatyari kani cha Tani tani pranakshanti Pradakshinam pare pare
Kani kani sapapani Brahmatari kani sa Kani kani pranasanti Pradakshina pare pare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Tusi Maharani Jaya, Vrinda Devi Jaya, Tusi Maharani Jaya, Vrinda Devi.
Jaya Krishna,
Jaya Tusi Maharani Jaya, Vrinda Devi Jaya, Tusi Maharani Jaya, Vrinda Devi. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki.
Jai. Shri Vrindayai Tulasibai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavatai Namo Namaha. Vrindayai Tulasibai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Shatavatai Namo Namaha. Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavatai Namo Namaha. Shmati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki. Oh Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow before you again and again. Maharaj, to tender service of Shri Radha and Krishna. We will take shelter of you as wishes fulfilled. Bestow your mercy upon him, you make him president of Vrindavan. My desire is that you also give me a residence in pleasure groves of Shri Vrindavan Dham. Thus within my vision I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of the damsels of virtue. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me honored servant. This very fallen and lowly servant Krishna praise. May I always swim in love with Shri Radha and Govind. Shri Mati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sikhyastakam ki jai. Chito Janam Bhavamādavagni Nirvapanam Shri Akariva Chandrika Vitaranam Vidya Badhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Gunamrita Shradanam Sarvatmasnam Parampara Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam namakari baudha nija sarva shaktis tatrarpita niyamita smarane nakala ita jusi tava kripaya bhagavan mamapi Narapi sunichena tarorapi saishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sada hari na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagarisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishwari bhavatar bhakti rahaitu ki tvai Ainandatanu kinkaram paritamam visame bhavam buddho kripaya tava pad pankaja sitaduli sadrisham vichintaya nayanam galorashrudharaya vadanam gadagadharudaya gira ulakai richitam vapukada tavanam grahane bhavisat chugaitam nimishena chakshusha pravusaitam Shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahe name asli shabhapadaratam pinastumam adarshanar marmahatam karotuva jatat tava vidadatulam pato matpranatastu saivana paraha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sikyastakam Ki Jai Namo Mahavarannaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namini Guru Tishe Namaha Namo Shivaya. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of a conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested your transcendental energies. There is not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw in the street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the whole name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your casual devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yes, some or other I have fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at the yellow lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I feel all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he sure remains so, even if sandals me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Shikyastakam Ki Jai. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who dedicate their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider names of demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literatures and pursuance of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation of the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which often Vedas as fruitive activity karma kanda. 9. To instruct the fearless person about the glories of holy name. And 10. To not have complete faith, chanting with holy names, and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas, the devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees, they can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned soldiers. Shri Guru Pranam, Mangala Charan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Bhavanam Dati Swavanamrikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Radhaparakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sarvajaram
Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambode Padambujayate Namaha Om Bhakti Vinodaya Sachitanandanamine Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Parayate Gora Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathayate Namaha Kalpatrabhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Om Bhagavata Krishna Prema Padayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gurachase Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktasaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surator Pangur Mamamanda Matir Gati Matsarvaswa Padambojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Drindaranya Kalpadramadaha Shimad Ratnagara Simhasanastito Shimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prestali Bihi Sevyamanam Smarami Shiman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsivata Tatastita Karsan Venuswaner Gopir Gopinatak Striyestuna Shri Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Panchatattva Mantra Ki Jai. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always accompanied by his primary expansion, Shri Nityananda Prabhu, his incarnation, Shri Advaita Prabhu, his internal potency, Shri Gadadhar Prabhu, and his marginal potency, Shivas Prabhu. He is in the midst of them as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should know that Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always accompanied by these other tattvas. Therefore, our obeisances to Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are complete when we say, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. As preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement, we first offer our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by chanting this Panchatattva mantra. Then we say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There are 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, but these are not considered in the chanting of the Panchatattva mantra, namely, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as the Mahavadanya-avatara, the most magnanimous incarnation, for he does not consider the offenses of the fallen souls. Thus, to derive the full benefit from chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We must first take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, learn the Panchatattva mantra, and then chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That will be very effective. Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The transcendental vibration established by the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the sublime method of reviving our Krishna consciousness. As living spiritual souls, we are all originally Krishna conscious entities. But due to our association with matter from time immemorial, our consciousness is now polluted by the material atmosphere. The material atmosphere in which we are now living is called Maya, or illusion. Maya means that which is not. And what is this illusion? The illusion is that we are all trying to be lords of material nature, while actually we are under the grip of her stringent laws. When a servant artificially tries to imitate the all-powerful master, this is called illusion. In this polluted concept of life, we are all trying to exploit the resources of material nature, but actually we are becoming more and more entangled in her complexities. Therefore, although we are engaged in a hard struggle to conquer nature, we are ever more dependent on her. This illusory struggle against material nature can be stopped at once by revival of our Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. This consciousness is the original energy of the living entity. When we hear the transcendental vibration, this consciousness is revived, and this process is recommended for this age by authorities. By practical experience also, one can perceive that by chanting this Mahamantra, or the great chanting for deliverance, one can at once feel transcendental ecstasy coming through from the spiritual stratum. And when one is factually on the plane of spiritual understanding, surpassing the stages of senses, mind, and intelligence, one is situated on the transcendental plane. This chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is directly enacted from the spiritual platform, and thus This sound vibration surpasses all lower strata of consciousness, namely sensual, mental, and intellectual. There is no need, therefore, to understand the language of the mantra, nor is there any need for mental speculation or any intellectual adjustment for chanting the Maha Mantra. It springs automatically from the spiritual platform, and as such, anyone can take part in the chanting without any previous qualification and dance in ecstasy. We have seen this practically. Even a child can take part in the chanting, or even a dog can take part in it. Of course, for one who is too entangled in material life, it takes a little more time to come to the standard point. But even such a materially engrossed man is raised to the spiritual platform very quickly. When the mantra is chanted by a pure devotee of the Lord in love, it has the greatest efficacy on the hearers, and as such, this chanting should be heard from the lips of a pure devotee of the Lord, so that immediate effects can be achieved. As far as possible, chanting from the lips of non-devotees should be avoided, just as milk touched by the lips of a servant should be avoided because of its poisonous effects. The word hara is a form of addressing the energy of the Lord, and the words Krishna and Rama are forms of addressing the Lord himself. Both Krishna and Rama mean the supreme pleasure, and Hara, or Radharani, means the supreme pleasure energy of the Lord, changed to Hare in the vocative. The supreme pleasure energy of the Lord helps us to reach the Lord. The material energy, called Maya, is also one of the multi-energies of the Lord, and we, the living entities, are also an energy, the marginal energy of the Lord. The living entities are described as superior to material energy. When this superior energy is in contact with the inferior energy, an incompatible situation arises. But when the superior marginal energy is in contact with the superior energy called Hara or Radharani, the living entity is established in its happy, normal condition. These three words, namely Hare, Krishna, and Rama, are the transcendental seeds of the Mahamantra. The chanting is a spiritual call for the Lord and his internal energy, Hara or Radharani, to give protection to the conditioned soul. This chanting is exactly like the genuine cry of a child for its mother. Mother Hara helps the devotee achieve the grace of the Supreme Father Hari or Krishna, and the Lord reveals himself to the devotee who chants this mantra sincerely. No other means of spiritual realization, therefore, is as effective in this age as chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol. So today we are reading from the second canto, 9th chapter, verse 33. This is the first verse of the 4 nutshell verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. When it says nutshell verse, what does it mean? Well, a nutshell is a shell that covers a seed. And the seed is something that if you plant it, it grows and it could become a plant or a gigantic tree or a banyan tree, which is could be as much as an entire city block, meaning with hundreds of other branches that root, and eventually you can't tell which one is the original root. There's so many apparent rooted branches that you can't tell which one was the original one. So in the same way, these nutshell verses are expanded into the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, and that was done by Sukadeva Goswami. So, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 33. Aham evasam evagre nanyat yat sadasat param paschad aham yad etajcha Yo vasishyeta sosmi aham. Aham. I, the personality of Godhead. Eva, certainly. Arasam, existed. Eva, only. Agre, before the creation. So that refers to the material creation. It doesn't refer to the spiritual world. Na, never. Anyat, anything else. Yat, all those. Sat, the effect. Asat, the cause. Param, the supreme. Paschat, at the end. Aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Yat, all these. Etat, creation. Cha, also. Ya, everything. Avasishyata, remains. Sa, that. Asmi, I am. Aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Notice how many times he says I, right? Let's count it. Let's see. 1 and 2, 3, 4. That means it's very important. Now we're going to hear why. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, meaning the material creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead, and after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. So how many times does he say I here? 1, 2, 3, right? Okay. So now, the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We should note very carefully that the personality of Godhead is addressing Lord Brahma and specifying with great emphasis, pointing out that it is He, the personality of Godhead, who existed before the creation. It is He only who maintains the creation, and it is He only who remains after the annihilation of the creation. Brahma is also a creation of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalist puts forth the theory of oneness in the sense that Brahma, also being the same principle of I, because he is an emanation from the I, or Krishna, the Absolute Truth, is identical with the Lord. The principle of I, and that there is thus nothing more than the principle of I, as explained in this verse. Accepting, this is the false theory of the Mayavadis. Sometimes when you read quickly, you think this is what Krishna is saying, but it's not. It's the false theory of the Mayavadis. Right? That's why you have to come to class, so you don't make mistakes like that. Accepting the argument of the impersonalists. So Prabhupada said, look, okay, this is false, but even if we accept the argument of the impersonalists, it is to be admitted that the Lord is the creator I, and that Brahma is the created I. Therefore, there is a difference between the two I's, namely, the predominator I and the predominated I. Therefore, there are still two I's, even accepting the argument of the impersonalists. But we must note carefully that these two I's are accepted in the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad, in the sense of quality. The Katha Upanishad says, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kama. The creator I and the created I are both accepted in the Vedas as qualitatively one, because both of them are nityas and chaitanas. Now this is important. What did he just say? Well, there is similarity between the jiva and Krishna. Krishna is eternal, the jiva is eternal. Krishna has knowledge, jiva has knowledge. Right? Krishna has bliss, jiva has bliss. So the eternity part is equal. They're both eternal. Even when the jiva is in the material world, still the soul is eternal. The jiva misidentifies with the body. And this is what is taught in the family and in schools, to identify with the body. You see, even the family teaches that to their kids. You are Indian, but not just any Indian. You're Indian from Bangladesh. So you are Bengali. We're not Andhras or Telanganas or Tamils or Malayanas or none of this nonsense. We are Bengalis. You see, so the family teaches identification with the body, and then to make it even stronger, the schools teach identification with the body. So when you're in Bangladesh, when they're reading little textbooks about Bengali history, and then they glorify, Subhash Chandra Bose, and then they glorify Jagadish Chandra Bose, and then they glorify what's that phony's name? I always forget the demons' names. Let's see. Yeah, Rabindranath. Yeah, it's another one. Rabindranath Tagore, right? And then they glorify this one and that one. They're all famous Bengalis, right? So this is like. By the way, they never mention Srila Prabhupada. They always mention these other phonies, and then they also mention Ramakrishna and Vivekananda, right? They're all in the books that are required reading for young Bengali kids, right? All throughout India. Well, no, I mean in Gujarat they also have their own people. Maharashtra has their own people. Yeah. So you see that the idea that I am this body, this is the fundamental illusion of the living entity. It's taught by the parents. It's taught in schools. It's taught by grandfathers and grandmothers, and everybody's teaching this, I am this body. So how do you think that you can become liberated in this lifetime? It's almost impossible, right? Whatever you learn in your childhood, that's something that you'll follow the rest of your life, usually. So we see how the deck is stacked against us. It's not only in India, it's every country. They glorify their own so-called heroes, and they preach this pride of being, a member of that ethnicity or that nationality, or etc. So here it says, Brahma is also a creation of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalist puts forth the theory of oneness in the sense that Brahma, also being the same principle of I, because he is an emanation from the I, meaning Krishna, the absolute truth, is identical with the Lord, the principle of I, and that there is thus nothing more than the principle of I, as explained in this verse. So this is their false interpretation. Accepting the argument of the impersonalists is to be admitted that the Lord is the creator I, and that Brahma is the created I. Yeah, it's very clear in what we've read so far that Brahma is born of Garbhodakshay Vishnu, is a direct incarnation or expansion of Krishna. Brahma did not exist before the material creation. Krishna creates the material world, and Brahma is given the responsibility to fill the world with living entities. He doesn't actually create. It's Krishna that actually creates. But then Brahma has the responsibility of filling the universe. He's the number one Prajapati, the father of mankind, you could say. Therefore, there is a difference between the two I's, namely the predominator I and the predominated I. Therefore, there are still two I's, even accepting the argument of the impersonalists. But we must note carefully that these two I's are accepted in the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad, in the sense of quality, not quantity. Like the gold in the gold ring and the gold in the gold mine. Qualitatively, they're one. Quantitatively, there's a huge difference between the two. The creator I and the created I are both accepted in the Vedas as qualitatively one because both of them are nityas and chaitanas. Okay. So we are equal as far as eternity goes. And by being completely surrendered to Krishna, we can be fully aware of our relationship to Krishna. So that is knowledge, right? And we can also partake in Krishna's transcendental bliss, but we'll never be equal in those two ways. But we have we can participate in those things. So there's Sat Chit Ananda. So Krishna's Ananda is unlimited, and the living entity is always surprised because it increases all the time. So therefore, there are things that we're not completely equal with Krishna, but we are experiencing them as Krishna reveals. But the singular I and the creator I and the created I's are of plural number because there are many I's, like Brahma, and those generated by Brahma. It is the simple truth. The Father creates or begets the Son, so here now he's going to give a mundane example to understand this transcendental point. The Father creates or begets the Son, and the Son also creates many other sons, and all of them may be one as human beings, but at the same time from the Father, the Son, and the grandsons. But at the same time from the Father, the Son, and the grandsons are all different. So this is the principle of achintya beda abeda tattva. Okay. As human beings are one, but as relativities, they are different. Therefore, the relativities of the creator and the created, or the predominator and the predominated, have been differentiated in the Vedas by saying that the predominator I is the feeder of the predominated I's, and thus there is a vast difference between the two principles of I. Well, now Prabhupada introduced the idea of relativity. So what does that mean? A relativity means that one thing depends on something else. So Krishna is the supreme cause of all causes. So everybody, all the different I's, depend on Krishna. That's what it means when it uses the word relativities, right? Now, the Mayavadis erased that whole thing. They said there's just I. That's it, and they're all, and there's only one thing. So by saying that, they eliminate the whole spiritual world. They eliminate all the liberated souls in the spiritual world. They eliminate the material world. They liberate. They basically cancel everything except this oneness theory. So it's a very dry philosophy, and it's very vastly wrong because it rejects everything that's eternally existent in the spiritual world, except for the Brahma Jyoti. In another feature of this verse, no one can deny the personalities of both the Lord and Brahma. Therefore, in the ultimate issue, both the predominator and the predominated are persons. This conclusion refutes the conclusion of the impersonalists that in the ultimate issue, everything is impersonal. This impersonal feature stressed by the less intelligent impersonal school is refuted by pointing out that the predominator, I, meaning Krishna, is the absolute truth and that he is a person. The predominated I, meaning Brahma, is also a person, but he's not the absolute. For realization of oneself in spiritual psychology, it may be convenient to assume oneself to be the same principle as the absolute truth, but there is always a difference of the predominated and the predominator, as clearly pointed out here in this verse, which is grossly misused by the impersonalists. So the impersonalists take this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam and they give their own interpretation of it, and therefore mislead people. How are people misled? They think that by doing something like yoga or something else, they can become God, because there's only one substance or one, let's say, reality for the Mayavadis. That's the oneness of the Brahmajyoti. Even that is not true. The Brahmajyoti is considered to be impersonal, but only for those people who do not know the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, because the Brahmajyoti is made up of infinite number of jivas. Now, you see that the jiva is superior to material nature, to matter, right? Therefore, the potential of the jiva is to become more powerful than the sun. More powerful than the sun. This is explained for Adi Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, and chapter number 4. The jiva is more powerful than, I think 4 or 5. The jiva is more powerful than the sun. And we have the proof of it, because Vivaswan, or the sun god, is controlling the sun. So there's the proof. He controls the movement of the sun. It keeps it in orbit. So, and then the sun's electromagnetic waves and heat and light and so forth keep all the planets in orbit. And Vivaswan participates in that also. So we see how powerful the jiva actually is, but not if you have modern education. You think that I am this body, the body is fragile, it could die at any moment, and therefore we should engage in sense gratification as much as possible, live to the fullest, and waste all our time on the internet and cell phones and televisions and things like that, and don't make any inquiry into Atma Tattva, the nature of the soul. But now we just heard the soul is potentially more powerful than the sun itself, and that the Brahmajyoti is not actually impersonal. It's made up of infinite number of jivas. You see, and when that light expands into the material world and is ricochets off the sun as a reflection of the sun, all those jivas enter into the material world. Right? So we need to understand the reality of what is our position. But modern education will dumb us down to think that we're just flesh and blood, and there's no soul, and just enjoy this flesh and blood as long as you can, and when you die, it's all over. Okay, so then it says, the form of the Lord as seen by Brahma existed before the creation of Brahma and the material manifestation, with all the ingredients and agents of material creation, are also energetic expansions of the Lord. And after the exhibition of the Lord's energy comes to a close, what remains is the same personality of Godhead. Therefore, the form of the Lord exists in all circumstances of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. But we're only talking about the material world. The material world is created at one point and dissolved at another point. This does not talk about the spiritual world, which is eternally existent. The Vedic hymns confirm this fact in the statement, Vasudeva va idam agra asin na brahma na cha sankara eko narayana asin na brahma neshana, etc. Because before the creation, there was none except Vasudeva, or Narayana. There was neither Brahma nor Sankara, meaning Shiva. Only Narayana was there, and no one else, neither Brahma nor Ishana, Shripad Sankaracharya also confirms in his comments. I think this Ishana refers to the king of the material world. Anyway, Shripad Sankaracharya also confirms in his comments on the Bhagavad Gita that Narayana, or the personality of Godhead, is transcendental to all material creation, but that the whole creation is the product of avyakta. Avyakta is the unseen or unmanifest material nature. Material nature is manifest and unmanifest, vyakta and avyakta. So that would mean it is the pradhana. It's the inactive and unseen potential of material creation, in which the time factor and karma are not acting. So therefore, everything comes to a complete stop, waiting for the next material creation. But the material energy is eternal. It is never destroyed. Okay. Therefore, the difference between the created and the creator is always there, although both the creator and created are of the same quality. Okay. Well, I'm going to stop right there because this is the long purport and should be read very slowly, and because there's a lot of information here. But I have some other interesting things to talk about, because today is January 1st, the beginning of the new year. Now, we're not going to celebrate with champagne, but we're going to celebrate with wisdom. This is a day people say, oh my God, another year has gone by. I'm getting older. What am I going to do? Maybe I should make a vow. I'll come to class every day and try and learn this philosophy. So that only lasts about a week. And maybe not even a week, maybe like 2 days. And then people just stop coming, And then next January 1st, oh my God, it's another year has gone by. I got to get more serious about Krishna consciousness. I think I'll make a vow. I'll come to class every day, So anyway, it's better not to make a vow than to break the vow, right? So breaking the vow is a bad habit, because if you break that one vow, then you'll break the other vows that you made. Like, know this, know that, know this, know that, do this, do that, do this, do that. So it's best that we never break our vows, because breaking our vows means we're not a real person. Why? Because we're not predictable. One day we come to the class, and the next 10 days you don't come to the class. So it becomes a habit to be whimsical. But spiritual life, you can't be whimsical. You have to be very serious. You have to be determined, and you have to have faith. So once upon a time, there was a sweeper or bungi, and he was working in a temple. And every day, he would see the deity. And he was a sincere person. And he would see every day like thousands of people coming to the temple and bowing down and having darshan. And he thought to himself, my God, my Lord is standing there every day and administering to all these people. He must get tired, maybe he should have some downtime also, Just like I get tired sweeping, sometimes I have to take a little extra rest and so forth. So he thought, maybe I can help the Lord out. So very innocently, he went up when no one was around and talked to the deity, and he asked the Lord whether he could take his place for one day, and so he could have some downtime. So Krishna said, well, I don't mind, he said, taking a break. So I'll transform your body into looking exactly like me. And you can stand here, and all these people come up and they ask you for this or that, and just smile. But don't do anything. Because why? Because just remember this: that you should have faith that I know what I'm doing, and that I have a plan. So you don't do anything, don't say anything, don't try and intervene into their life in any way. Just stand there and smile, and Asirbat, and that's it. So the man said, okay. The sweeper said, okay, I'll do that. So the next day, the sweeper took the position of the deity, and he was just standing there, and people were coming, and they were asking this, asking that, and he just smiled, didn't say anything. So this one very wealthy Bania came, and he, how people, sometimes they come, they make a show, they go like this, and like this, and like that, like as if it has some meaning what they're doing, right? and then he gave, a donation, a good donation, because he's a very wealthy man. And he said, please let my business do better, right? So the sweeper, so-called incarnation, just smiled, didn't say anything. And then the Bania, about 4 or 5 times, he said, let my business do better, and then he walks away, but he forgets his wallet. And his wallet has a lot of money in it. So then after that, a very poor man comes, and he only has like one coin, like 1 rupee coin, but that's all he has. And he gives it, and he has tears in his eyes, and he explains to the deity how, he's very poor, and this is the last penny he has, and he says, please, help me in some way or other. My kids are hungry, my wife is upset, and please do something. So, the sweeper has a lot of compassion for him, you can understand his dilemma. But he just smiles and doesn't say anything, But then the poor man sees the wallet, and he said, oh, my dear Lord, you have answered my prayers, And he takes the wallet and thanks, the Lord, so-called the sweeper, many, many times, and praises, and then leaves. So then a sailor comes, and he's destined to go the next day, or that night, on a ship out into the open sea, and he's just praying to the deity, please protect me. The sea is always dangerous. You never know what's going to happen. One day it's very calm, the next day it can be a terrible storm. And but then the Banya comes in with a policeman and starts shouting that he left his wallet, and he's looking for the wallet and doesn't see it. And he tells the policeman, arrest this sailor. He said, he stole my wallet. So the sailor looks at the Lord, and he said, my Lord, please protect me. I'm innocent. I didn't do this. And the police take him, they're going to handcuff him and take him in. And right away, the sweeper feels so bad about this, and he's such an injustice, So he intervenes. And he says, no, that sailor did not steal the wallet. He said, there was a poor man that came in. He took the wallet. He thought it was my mercy to him. So the bunny is surprised. The police are surprised. So they let the sailor go. And so then later on, Krishna comes back and said, well, how did it go today? He said, well, everything went all right, but there was one thing that happened that was very unfortunate. So, really? What happened? He said, well, this Banya came, and he gave a nice donation, and he asked me to protect his business and make sure it grows. He kept saying that over and over again. And when he left, he forgot his wallet. And then this poor man came, and he gave 1 coin, and he had tears in his eyes, and he was speaking about how his family's starving and having difficult times, and this is the last penny he has. And he said that please help me. When he opened his eyes after the prayers, he saw the wallet of the Banya, and he said, "My Lord, you have answered my prayers." And he took it and went away. And then a sailor came in who was going out on a boat that night on a big ship, and he was praying that I protect him or give protection to him. And then Banya came with the police and arrested the sailor, and I could see this was terrible. It was completely wrong, and I intervened. And then Krishna said, "What? You intervened?" He said, "Yes." And I told him that it wasn't the sailor that took the money, it was the poor man. He said, "Why did you do that? I told you not to say anything." He said, "Well, no, I thought you'd be happy that I did this. I saved the soldier from going to prison." He said, No. He said, "I told you," he said, "you have to have faith that I know what I'm doing, that I have a plan for this material world, and you should have faith in that." He said, "Well, I thought I was doing the right thing." He said, "No." He said, "First of all, the Banya is a cheater. Most of the money he makes is black money, and whatever he gave you was a pittance compared to what he has, but that money is very sinful." And he said, and secondly, the poor man, he gave the last penny he had. His donation was much greater than the donation of the rich man, and he was a very sincere person, right? So, and he said the soldier, he was destined to die if he went out on that ship, because the weather was going to be very bad, and the ship was going to sink. So now you've ruined everything, And he said that, and I was going to take care of that poor man, but you intervened. Now you've ruined the whole thing, and that poor man's going to get in trouble now with the police because he took the wallet. So the sweeper was shocked, And then Krishna says, "You had no faith in me. You thought that you knew better than I do." And he said, "Do you think that I do not understand the hearts of all those who come here? All the donation which the rich man gave was all stolen money, and it is only a fraction of what he really has, and he wants me to reciprocate unlimitedly for him, to make his businesses grow and his cheating grow. The single coin offered by the poor man was the last coin he was having, and he gave it to me out of faith. The sailor might not have done anything wrong, but if the sailor were to go out on the ship that night, he was about to die because of bad weather. And instead, if he was arrested, he would be in jail right now and safe, and would have been saved from the great calamity that was going to happen. The wallet should go to the poor man because he will use it in my service. I was going to reduce the rich man's karma also by doing this, and save the sailor also. But you canceled everything because you thought you know my plan, and you made your own plans. God has plans and justice for everyone." Whoa. So we see how dangerous it is to think that we can act like God, but actually we don't have the power of Krishna. So we just make a mess of things. Better we simply follow the instructions of Krishna. So there's a very nice saying in Hindi, that is, I think it's Hindi or maybe it's Bengali. It says, "Janami janami sabha pita mata paya. Krishna Guru nahi mile bhaja." Now, this is Bengali. So this says, birth after birth, you can get mother and father. But life after life, you can not only get mother and father, you get body, you get senses, you get intelligence, you get food, you get sense gratification, and you can defend yourself. You get all these things, but you don't get Krishna. When it says, Krishna Guru nahi mile bhaja. You'll not get Krishna and Guru. This is the difference. So Prabhupada says, see how nice this verse is. Everything you'll get, but you'll not get the most important thing, Krishna and Guru. How nice it is. Tata dehantara prapti, so he's quoting 2nd chapter, 13th verse. You'll get another body. That's what you'll get. You won't get Guru and Krishna. You'll just get another body and have to go through the whole mess again. Another body you'll get means you will get all bodily facilities. There's no scarcity between the body, this body, and that body. But the only scarcity is that in other body, you'll not get Krishna and Guru. We have to remember this. So, it's a very rare thing to get Krishna and Guru in this lifetime. Most people will avoid it because they've been poisoned by education, by family attachment, by concepts of nationality and ethnicity and this thing and that thing, and therefore they'll just get another body and just continue suffering in the material world. So Prabhupada had a nice discussion with a Indian commissioner, and he says, we can help you, he said, because the commissioner came up to him and was complaining about how, the younger generation seems to be deviating from the traditional way of living. And he said, we can give you everything in detail, provided you accept this principle, that we shall abide by the instruction of Bhagavad Gita. And the commissioner says, who questions the Gita and the Upanishads? What do you mean? Well, we accept the Gita. And Prabhupada says, it's very difficult, you see. Big scholars, big politicians, they are supposed to be preaching Bhagavad Gita. They take their photograph in front of Bhagavad Gita, but without Krishna. They'll never talk of Krishna anytime. They banish Krishna. Even Gandhi, he said, my imagination of Krishna is different. Perhaps you have to read in his Gita Press edition. Krishna is speaking. But Radhakrishnan said, when Krishna says, Man mana bhava mad bhakta, he says, it is not the Krishna person. So now he mentioned Gandhi, right? Now he mentioned Dr. Radhakrishnan, who used to be president of India. Krishna says, Man mana bhava mad bhakta, and he says, it is not the Krishna person. Just see how misleading it is. And if a person like Dr. Radhakrishnan or Gandhi misleads, then who will hear me? Prabhupada said, if these guys, these are big guys, they mislead the people, who's going to listen to me? I'm a nobody compared to them, right? What am I? There is one big person in Bombay. He said that he has set aside 10 lakhs of rupees for Gita Prachar. So Prabhupada's talking about somebody he met. And he said, I'm going to set aside 10 lakhs of rupees for preaching Bhagavad Gita. But when I proposed Gita Prachar, means Krishna Prachar, he said, no. No, I want Gita without Krishna. This is India today, right? But when I proposed Gita Prachar, means Krishna Prachar, he said, no, I want Gita without Krishna. Everyone is like this. The commissioner says, then who is the Gita Prachara? Gita Prachara, Prabhupada. They are doing like that. You can see from this big person. Gandhi used to say that he believes in Gita, and Gita gives him solace in difficult times, and so on. But has he ever preached about Krishna? Tilak, has Tilak ever preached about Krishna? Radhakrishnan, has he ever preached about Krishna? Not one of them. Their policy is take Sita and kill Rama. Ravana's policy. Take Sita, take away Gita, and kill Krishna. So Ravana's policy will never be successful. Ravana's policy means he will be destroyed. You cannot do harm to Rama, but Ravana will be destroyed. This policy that take Sita and kill Rama means he will destroy himself. So this is going on. Take Gita and kill Krishna. This will destroy the whole thing. This Ravana's policy. And Hanuman's policy is somehow or other rescue Sita and get her seated by the side of Rama. Therefore, he's worshipped, Vajrangaji. That is the difference between Ravana's policy. Sita is the via media, but one is trying to bring back Sita and seat her by the side of Rama, and another is trying to take away Sita and kill Rama. This is wrong policy, and it will never be successful. We have to accept the instruction of Gita and accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord. Then everything will be all right. So thank you very much for your coming. So kindly, if you will agree to take the instruction of Gita, I am always at your service. I will give you such guidance, our men, our everything. But you have to decide this. You cannot take up this policy, take Gita and banish Krishna. That is wanted. Wow. You see, Prabhupada, he was trying to help these people, but they're so illusioned by these big guys, the big guns, the Gandhis, the Tilak, Dr. Radha Krishnan, and Rabindranath Tagore, and all these people, all these politicians and big people. They've ruined everything. See? So, we have to be serious about this Krishna consciousness. Now, today is a day where people become a little reflective about, another year's gone by, and I'm getting gray hair, my eyes are not seeing the same way as before, I need glasses, I need contacts, I need maybe an operation, eye operation, and I have pains here, pains there, and doctor says cholesterol, and then also this business, who knows what's going to happen, maybe Microsoft will go bankrupt this year, who knows, right? And this thing and that thing, people are full of anxiety on the first day of January, and they're thinking, what is my plan for this year? Well, I have a great suggestion. This is wisdom from Bhisma Pitamaha. So, he says, 9 points of wisdom to guide us in this new year. Number 1, he says, not to become angry. Number 2, not to lie. Number 3, to equally distribute wealth. Wow, that's a big one right there. To equally distribute wealth. 4, to forgive. 5, to beget children only by one's legitimate wife. 6, to be pure in mind and hygienic in body. Okay, tell him not to talk. Tell him not to talk. Srivats is like a karmi woman. You can never stop talking. But you're not allowed to talk on the altar. You're supposed to concentrate completely on the deity. This conversation on the altar is extremely insulting, not only to Krishna, but to us also. Because we're trying to talk about something serious, and he's up there talking nonsense. So this should not happen anymore. Okay, so let's start again. Not to become angry. Not to lie. To equally distribute wealth, to forgive, to beget children only by one's legitimate wife, to be pure in mind and hygienic in body, not to be inimical toward anyone, to be simple, and to support servants or subordinates. One cannot be called a civilized person without acquiring the above-mentioned preliminary qualities. So, this is wisdom. Now, I'll give you all a copy of this if you want, because this should be something that we follow this year. If we follow this, then Krishna consciousness will be very easy, and becoming regulated will be very easy. Now, like for example, if someone is staying up late and someone says, look, this staying up late is not good, you should take rest. Oh, no, don't you tell me that, I know what I'm doing, and I'm an adult, I know what's going on here, and I'm not affected by this. Wait a minute. You just violated number 1, not to become angry. And then not to lie. What do you mean you know everything? You don't know anything. You don't even know, you don't even have enough sense to take rest early so you can wake up early and chant your rounds and do so many things in the Brahma Muhurta. So, yeah. So these 9 points are very important for civilized people. If you want to be uncivilized, now what's the difference between a civilized person and an uncivilized person? Civilized person is regulated in all their activities, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Very regulated, right? And uncivilized people are not regulated. They go to sleep anytime, they wake up anytime, they eat anything, they talk nonsense, they fiddle around with the nonsense things like computers and cell phones and televisions and movies. They talk about how to make money, and they talk about all kinds of things, sports, this thing, that thing, and they just waste their whole life, right? And at the end of life, they think, oh my God, doctor, please give me another 4 years. I forgot to write my autobiography. You think anybody's going to read that autobiography? It's nonsense. Yeah. So we see these 9 things: not to become angry, not to lie. Okay, leave your brother alone. Leave your hands to yourself. Don't touch him all the time. All right? You're gonna disqualify him from listening carefully, and you disqualify yourself also. Sit farther away from him. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. More. Keep going, keep going. Okay. Not to become angry, not to lie, to equally distribute wealth. If the rich people did that, that would be very good. See, now people say, oh, well, Bill Gates is doing that. He's trying to eradicate malaria, and he's trying to eradicate this thing, that. He hasn't eradicated anything. And how does he know that's the way the money should be spent? You see, it's just whimsical, right? He doesn't know. He can't control his own zipper. How is he going to help humanity? This is all phonyism, right? So if you tell him, well, Mr. Gates, it'd probably it'd be better if you distributed some of your wealth, some of this wealth of all these rich people that are donating to your charity to help people that don't have enough money to put food on the table. He said, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to wipe out malaria. I want to wipe out AIDS. I want to wipe out this. I want to wipe out that. And is he going to wipe it out? No, he's not going to wipe it out. He's just going to waste his money. Okay, and to be pure in mind and hygienic in body, not to be inimical toward anyone, to be simple. That means not have a lot of things cluttering your house, not a lot of gadgets and things like that. Because every new gadget we buy, you have to maintain it. Just like for example, let's say you buy a remote car for your kid. So he's up there playing with it 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. 4th day, China, it breaks down. And the kid gets really upset. He said, you got to get this fixed. So you try and find a way of fixing it. And fixing it costs more than buying a new one, right? So therefore you have to buy another one. And you say, well, next Christmas I'll buy one. So, every gadget requires maintenance. And most gadgets are made to break down quickly. So you have to keep buying them. Otherwise the company will go, if they make it to be permanent, they'll go bankrupt, you see. So to be very simple and to support servants or subordinates, very important. All these points are important. One cannot be called a civilized person without acquiring the above mentioned qualities. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bismat Pitamaha ki jai. Gaur Premanande Haribol. So, make your plan for the new year. Make your new year resolution. But don't break it. Stick to it. And if the plan is to follow these 9 points, then ask me for a copy of this and I'll give it to you. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions?
Generally, the tendency to break vows. Is
Good.
that coming? So the tendency to break vows, is that coming all the way from our original sin of forgetting Lord Krishna?
Well, yes. So it comes from maintaining our enviousness of Krishna. Because Krishna is giving this advice, right? So if you're envious of God, then you won't want to follow that advice. So even if you say you're going to follow it, but you eventually will not follow it, because that enviousness is not going away. Just like, can you accept advice from an enemy? No, it's very hard because, the person's an enemy, right? He tries to destroy you or make you lose your job or not give you a promotion or something, and you consider that person an enemy. So you're not prone to listening to anything that person says, right? So all these things are coming from the original rejection of Krishna. All these bad qualities. We walked away from Krishna voluntarily. We thought we could become a Krishna in the material world, right? And like every day we're reading the same thing. Why? Because if we understand this, then we can avoid so many problems. So what is that same thing? So it says here, as living spiritual souls, we are all originally Krishna conscious entities. But due to our association with matter from time immemorial, our consciousness is now polluted by the material atmosphere. The material atmosphere in which we are now living is called Maya, or illusion. Maya means that which is not. And what is this illusion? The illusion is that we are all trying to be lords of material nature, while actually we are under the grip of her stringent laws. What does he mean? What's Prabhupada saying here? Well, yeah, we're under the grip of birth, old age, disease, and death. We're under the grip of miseries of this body, miseries caused by other bodies, miseries caused by natural cataclysmic events. We are controlled by lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, and envy, right? We are controlled by the 3 modes of material nature, the goodness, passion, and ignorance. We're also controlled by time. All over the place, we're being controlled, and we're fighting against it, and we're going to lose the fight because nature cannot be controlled. It belongs to Krishna. If we use nature in Krishna's service, then we become free from it. But if we try and control it for our own sense gratification, we live an illusory life, and everything we do will ultimately fail. So how to understand this? This is very difficult for most people to understand. That's why we're reading it every day. We should read it over and over again and understand that this is the reality of our position. Therefore, we have to take measures to free ourselves. So Prabhupada writes a very nice letter. That's the last thing, I'm sorry. And he says, where's that letter? 1 second, I'll find it. Yeah, he writes a letter in 1975, October 21st, to Satsvarup Prabhu, and he says, please accept my blessings. I am in due receipt of your letter dated September 29, 1975, and I have noted the contents with care. Concerning your debate with the professor who claims that if God knows everything, then his foreknowing makes men very much like puppets or machines. Persons who think of God like himself has no knowledge of God. He immediately becomes a mudha, a fool or rascal. Avajanantimam mudha, Bhagavad Gita 9.11. God is omniscient, meaning he knows everything, and omnipotent, meaning he has all powers. He knows everything, what is going to happen. Therefore, to save the living entity from future calamity, he says, Sarva dharmam purityaja mamekam saranam raja. Just surrender unto me, and I will free you from all karma from the past, so that you can engage in my service. Don't hesitate, don't doubt, and don't be afraid. So again, trust me, he's saying. Trust me, I'm guaranteeing you that you will be successful in this life. 1866, Bhagavad Gita. So although he knows what is going to happen in the future, he can cancel all that was going to happen by his grace. That is God's omnipotency. So he can change your destiny. And it just requires surrendering to him. And you surrender to him by accepting bona fide guru and following the instructions that are coming from Krishna and from the acharyas like Bhisma Pitamaha. Right? For a devotee, the future destiny is changed as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Yastrindra Gopam Tavendra Hosvakarma Bandhanu Rupa Falabhajana Matanoti Karmani Nirdahati Kinchucha Bhakti Bhajam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Brahma Samhita 5.54. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the original personality of Godhead, Govinda, who regulated the sufferings and enjoyments of fruitive activity, who regulates the sufferings and enjoyments of fruitive activity for everyone, from the heavenly king Indra down to the smallest insect, Indra Gopa. That very personality of Godhead destroys the fruitive karma of one engaged in devotional service. So anyone who surrenders to Krishna, his destiny is changed by the omnipotency of God. He takes charge, God takes charge of the devotee and guides the devotee how the devotee can go back home, back to Godhead. This is the mercy of God. He knows everything, and still he says, Sarva dharmam purityaja mamekam saranam vraja. Just surrender unto me, and only unto me, and I will free you from all previous karma, so you can engage. You can't engage in devotional service unless you're freed from your previous karmas. And in this life, karma in this life, and karma from previous lives. But you are thinking God like yourself. What is destined is going to happen, and even God cannot change it. So a lot of people think like that. Say, whatever is going to happen, it's going to happen. What good is this chanting Hare Krishna? How's that going to change my destiny? Right? And I don't want to change my destiny. I'm living in Clyde Hill. I have a nice 401k. I don't want to change my destiny. And when I die, I want to take birth again in Clyde Hill. So if you say God can't change your destiny, then God is impotent according to you. This is their version of God. God says, surrender to me, and I shall cancel all your destiny. Ham tvam sarva papebhya mokshisyami masucha. God will save you from the death. That's quoting from 1866, right? Sarva dharma prityaja. God will save you from the destiny that you have created by misuse of your independence. He knows, but still he is so kind. Surrender has nothing to do with your destiny. That will depend on you. Surrender has nothing to do with your destiny. That means that the one thing that's not subject to karma is surrender to Krishna. You can be you can have the worst karma in the world. If you decide to surrender to Krishna, it will be stopped. Right? So that's why he says that surrender has nothing to do with your destiny. In other words, if you're destined to suffer this whole lifetime, but if you surrender to Krishna, that is not controlled by the law of karma. That will depend on you, the spirit soul, because you have a little independence, a little freedom. Theirs is the materialists have an atheistic argument. God is not only omniscient, but also almighty. But they make God like themselves, not being omniscient, not knowing everything, and not being almighty. Predestiny is there, but it is canceled if you surrender to Krishna. Otherwise, Krishna is not the controller. If you can't cancel your karma, then he's not the controller of everything. The materialist is like the karma mimamsa philosophy, that God is our servant and he must reward me according to my activities. If you surrender to Krishna, there's no more predestining. He knows if you do this, you must suffer. So why do you suffer? You take his advice, even if he says predestined. So why don't you surrender to Krishna now and get out of this material condition? Nice letter. So this is the one reason why I joined Krishna consciousness. I realized when I was about 21 that I had a bad destiny. I was not born in a good family, and so many things were going wrong in my life. But when I heard that you can change your destiny by surrendering to Krishna and engaging in devotional service, I said, that's for me. I want to change my destiny. I could see I didn't have a good destiny. No, it's not destiny. It's called fate. F-A-T-E. Destiny is what karma you're doing now in the present life that'll lead to some consequences. But when those consequences are actually called fate. So I realized I had a very bad fate from previous lifetimes. So, but when I heard that by surrendering to Krishna, this one verse, Sarvadharma Parityajya, I could change that. That I can't get that at Walmart or Amazon, right? I can't get that anywhere else, but here in Krishna. Even Christianity, you're not going to get it. Even Christianity, you can get freedom from the karma that you're committing now, but it's not going to free you from the tendency to commit sin. That's a whole other subject. I'll cover that tomorrow. Okay?
Very well. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You have a question?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Maharaj, there is an online question some devotee is asking.
Yeah.
So I will just read it. The question is, should we not lie in all situations? In some situations...
Wait a minute. Should we not lie in all situations? Yes, you should not lie in all situations. He's not asking the question correctly. Go ahead.
In some situations, lying may be beneficial.
Well, I answered this question the other day. You remember? I read a letter where Prabhupada answers that question. Yeah. Anyway, no, you should not lie. So there's a famous story in the Shastra. There was one sadhu. He had his kutir, the place where he would chant and meditate, but it was right near a very rich man's house. It didn't have anything to do with the rich man, but it just so happened that with his kutir, the place where he was doing his bhajan, was not far away from that house. So one day a group of dacoits were doing what they're doing nowadays in San Francisco and Los Angeles and Seattle. They were invading rich people's homes and robbing them, right? And sometimes killing them. So they went to this very rich man's house, which was near the sadhu's kutir, and they couldn't find him. And they couldn't even get into the house. It was so protected. But they knew that the people were not inside. So they came over to the sadhu, And he was meditating. He was chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So they said, "Oh, Sadhuji, pranam." They said, "We need to get some advice from you." He said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Okay. What do you want to know?" He said, "Can you tell us where that rich man and his family are hiding?" And then they said, "We know that you never tell a lie. You are very famous, that you always tell the truth. So please tell us the truth. Where are they hiding?" So they put him on the spot, right? So he said, "Yes, they're over there in that forest over there." So they said, "Thank you very much, Ashirbat," And they went and they beat up and killed the family and stole, the jewels that they had with them. So one thing leads to another, and this sadhu, after many years, dies. And instead of going back to Vaikuntha, he sees Yamaraj. And he said, "Excuse me," he said, "I think there's a mistake here. You got the wrong guy." He said, "My whole life I've been a sadhu." He said, "No," he said, "You made one big mistake." He said, "Well, that's only one. How about all the good things I did?" I said, "No, this was a big one." He said, "You're a murderer." I said, "No, I never murdered anyone." "No, but you're an accessory to murder." So what do you mean? He had forgotten about it, right? He said, "You told those dacoits where those people were." He said, "But I was just telling the truth." He said, "But that truth caused the death of those people." So he said, "Therefore, you're going to go to hell for this." So that doesn't mean that we lie in all situations. That means that in very exceptional situations, if you tell the truth and it can cause suffering or death to someone else, at that point, your duty is not to give that information out. See? So there are exceptions, but the exception does not change the rule. See? The exception does not change the rule. It's a very, very limited exception. And that's only in the case where you can save someone else from, or a whole bunch of people from suffering or being killed. Okay? The exception does not change the rule. That's the main point. Go ahead.
There is a second question as well.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be simple?
Well, that's explained in Bhagavad Gita, in the 4th chapter. Actually, it's explained all over the Bhagavad Gita, but we'll just read from the 4th chapter. And the verse is beginning from one second. 19. 4th chapter, 19. Yasya sarve samaramba kama sankalpa varjita yanagni dagda karmanam tamahu pandita buddhe. One is understood to be in full knowledge whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Next verse, 20. Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Number 21. And this hits the nail on the head, as they say in English. Nirasiryata chitatma tyakva sarva parigraha sariram kevalam karma kurvan napnoti kilbasam. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence, perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. In other words, he's not making any karma now. Because of what? Well, there's 4 points. 1, he has his mind and intelligence perfectly controlled because he's only acting to please Krishna under the instructions of bona fide Siksha and Diksha gurus. 2, he gives up all sense of proprietorship. He doesn't say, this is mine, and that is mine, and that belongs to me, and that doesn't belong to you, blah, 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 right? He follows Northwest Share. It's by sharing that one creates prosperity, not by hoarding, right? So he gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. And then 22, he who is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord, and who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. And then number 23, so with 19 to 23 explains what is simple life, right? What it means to live simply. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. Hari Bol. There are other, in the 5th chapter also, there's more information about this. And all throughout the Bhagavad Gita, there's more information about this. You know. It's all right. You don't have to.
Sorry.
That's all right. Okay, no more questions? No more answers. Hari Bol. Glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If you want those nine points, just ask. Who's going to lead? Anybody? Okay. Samarth again. Wow. Huh? Oh, it's your birthday. Oh. Samarth is smart.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma
Bandhu Mui Savadana Ma Te
Bando Mui Savadana Mate
Jahara Prasade Bhai E Bhava Toriya Jai
Janara Prasade Bhai He Bhavatoriya Jai
Krishna Prapti Hoi Jaha Hote
Krishna Prapti Hoya Hoide
Guru Mukha Padma Vagya Jite Te Koriya Kya Arana Kori Ho Mane Asha
Arana Nuriya Maneya Sa
Shri Guru Charane Rati
January-2022 Aise Uttamagati
Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Sha
Ye Prasade Pure Sarva Sa
Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha
Ye Prasade Pure Sarva Asa
चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से
चक्षुदान दिला जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से
दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो
दिव्य हृदय प्रकाशितो
प्रेम भक्ति चाह होते अविद्या विनाश जाते
प्रेम भक्ति जहाते अविद्या विनाश जाते
वेद गाय जहाँ चरितो
वेद गाय जन चरितो
श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदम जनार बंधु
श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदान जनर बंधु
लोकनाथ लोके राजीवाना
लोकेना जीवाना
हा प्रभु करो दया देहो मोरे पादा छाया
प्रभु कोर दो जय मोरे पाद जाय
ए बेजास कुशुक त्रिभुवाना
गाय दुखी भुवाना
प्रभु पाद पतित पवाना
प्रभु पाद पतित पवाना
जय प्रभु पादा जय प्रभु पादा प्रभु पादा जय प्रभु पादा
जय प्रभु पादा जय प्रभु पादा जय प्रभु पादा जय प्रभु पादा
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatarine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavani Pasyatya Desatarine
Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Pararajagachasta Tarasatara Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Paramsika Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Samkunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Mayapura Dham Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Ganga Maya Ki Jai, Jamuna Maya Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the simple devotees, all glories to the simple, all glories to the simple, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Patita Pavani Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhakti Smriti Bhakti Smriti. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Vichani Nivasis and Manipaskati. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain the pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and Lord and master of devotees. Spread throughout all the three worlds. We take shelter at your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol.